The freedom movement, the story of the freedom struggle, the movement. Gandhiji returned to India from South Africa in 1915. He had been fighting discrimination in South Africa for some years and felt it was time to help his own countrymen and learn more about his own country. In South Africa, Gandhiji had developed the technique of protesting with non-violence and truth. He named this protest as Satyagraha. Since most of the Indian population consisted of peasants and workers, Gandhiji took up issues that concerned them directly. When workers from the indigo plantations of Champaran in Bihar complained against oppression, Gandhiji supported them and helped them win their demands. When the mill workers in Ahmedabad went on strike for a 35% increase in wages, Gandhiji supported them. Gandhiji was shocked at the treatment meted out to the lower castes and untouchables. He renamed the untouchables as Harijans, which meant children of God. These actions won him the support of the people of India. But Gandhiji was pained to find that the people in India were divided on the basis of caste, religion, gender, and color. He realized that India would never be able to gain freedom unless and until men, women, children, upper. Satyagraha became his most important weapon against the British. Gandhiji believed a true Satyagrahi is always fearless and truthful. Seeing the growing strength and unity among the masses, the British passed several acts that were harsh and infringed the basic rights of human beings. Among them was the Rowlatt Act of 1919. According to this act, any person could be arrested and jailed without a trial for up to 2 years. This act was aimed to control civil unrest. Hartals and meetings were held all over the country to protest this act. One meeting was held at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. Thousands of people were gathered on Baisakhi Day. There were women and children too. The British, under General Dyer, blocked the only exit and began to indiscriminately fire. The unarmed people had no means of escape, and thousands of innocent people were killed that day. The brutality of the British shocked the entire world. The First World War ended in 1918. It was decided that Turkey would be divided among the victorious powers. This upset Muslims worldwide and even the Muslims in India, as the Caliph or Sultan of Turkey was the religious head of all Muslims. Indian Muslims under the leadership of Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali launched the Khilafat movement. The Congress under Gandhiji believed this to be the opportunity to bring about Hindu-Muslim unity, and the non-cooperation movement was launched to protest the division of Turkey and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Gandhiji asked the people not to cooperate with the British through non-violent means. Men, women, and children alike left their homes, offices, colleges, and schools in support of this movement. However, this movement ended after a group of farmers retaliated on being fired up by burning the Chauri Chaura police station. All the policemen were burnt alive. Gandhiji called off the movement as it had turned violent. People felt unhappy with this decision, saying that the movement may have gained strength and the objective of freedom would be achieved. Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, B.K. Dutt, Rajguru, Sukhdev, among others, believed that the revolutionary methods would succeed. It was during this time that many people began to join the freedom struggle. Among these were Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. The British, observing this growth of nationalism, realized the need to introduce some changes in administration in India. The Simon Commission under Sir Simon was established. The Indian people greeted this commission with black flags and shouted, "Simon, go back," as there was no Indian representation in this commission. The Lahore Congress session of 1929 was a landmark in India's march to independence. It was at this session that the Congress declared Purna Swaraj, or complete freedom. Jawaharlal Nehru succeeded his father Motilal Nehru as the president of the Congress Party. The British imposed a tax on salt. Gandhiji and his followers marched from the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad to Dandi to break the salt law. Masses of people joined this movement. This mass movement became more strong when men, women, and children joined the civil disobedience movement in large numbers. This movement spread to all parts of the country. In the northeast, Rani Gyadin Liu, a 13-year-old, led the movement. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan led the movement in the northwestern part of India. He came to be known as Frontier Gandhi. Several leaders were imprisoned by the British, but they failed to curb the rising tide of nationalism. Seeing this unrest, the British decided to introduce reforms, and in 1935, the Government of India Act was passed. This act promised more participation of Indians in administration, but in practice, all power remained with the British. The Congress took part in the elections that were held in 1937 in spite of being unhappy with the act. The Second World War broke out and India was forced to join the war. The Congress ministers resigned in demand for independence or effective power before joining the war. The British tried to hold talks to ensure Indian cooperation with the mission established under Sir Stafford Cripps. Talks failed and the Indian National Congress under Gandhiji started the Quit India movement. Gandhiji was immediately arrested with other leaders. Subhash Chandra Bose, who had been the past president of the Indian National Congress, escaped from India in 1941 to organize an armed struggle against the British from outside India. In 1943, he organized the Azad Hind Fauj, or the Indian National Army, to liberate India. The cry Jai Hind became the cry for the freedom struggle. With the end of the Second World War, the British realized that they could not retain their hold on India. Keeping with their policy of divide and rule, the British created Pakistan. Finally, on August 15, 1947, India gained her freedom. Summary: Gandhiji returned to India from South Africa in 1915. Gandhiji renamed the untouchables as Harijans, which meant children of God. Gandhiji believed a true Satyagrahi is always fearless and truthful. The First World War ended in 1918. Indian Muslims under the leadership of Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali launched the Khilafat movement. The Lahore Congress session of 1929 was a landmark in India's march to independence. The British imposed a tax on salt. Gandhiji and his followers marched from the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad to Dandi to break the salt law. In 1943, Subhash Chandra Bose organized the Azad Hind Fauj, or the Indian National Army, to liberate India. The cry Jai Hind became the cry for the freedom struggle.